Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Terry Smooth. I'm the Archangel Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And we're going to talk about the brain ain't every goddamn thing. You know what? I got to come on 3D for this goddamn one. You goddamn right. The brain ain't every goddamn thing. And there's a lot of scientists out here that's pushing this motherfucking science on y'all. And you know, as Archangel Uriel, I kind of got to break this shit because this is some later after the fact type shit. You know what I'm saying? The motherfucking beings and the shit that was creating the brain came after the fact. But I got to come on 3D so I can clearly break it down for y'all so y'all don't misunderstand things and try to misconfuse my words and go back to the people who are teaching you this secondhand shit. Because I'm going to break it down on how it's secondhand in general when we talk about the brain. So check this out. You can't get nothing but hand-me-down knowledge, second-hand, third-string knowledge, even talking about the brain. So and you know what all come from the brain? That left brain, logical, reptilian shit. And that shit, all right, let's check this out. All right, the brain ain't every goddamn thing. So let's check this out. You need to understand how to decipher things for yourself within your own experience. And then you will be able to truly see where things is actually coming from. So let's talk about the way they try to break down thinking. Now, thinking, here's the thing. Thinking is a part of the masculine energy from a 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional level. You know what I'm saying? How I see it. Now let's break it down on a 3rd dimensional level. Thinking is something that you push out. It's not, now we're in the realm of receiving. Same way when as soon as you came out your mother, you took that first breath, you received. So you're in the realm of reality where you perceive, you receive. All your experiences is what you receive. So once you go through that space and location, you receive information, you receive consciousness, and you receive. So motherfucker, you are receiving in this realm right now, right? So that what comes first. The moment you start to think, that's something you're pushing out. So you receive thoughts, you receive feelings and emotions. The moment you start to think and decipher it, that's something that you're pushing out. So pushing out is is tied to the masculine energy. Receiving is tied to the feminine energy. So masculine was birthed from the feminine energy. The feminine energy came first before the masculine energy, and the masculine energy forcefully asserted itself out, where really it's just a duplication or a smaller version of the feminine energy, so which encapsulated in shapes and forms. So what you need to understand is this: thinking is part of pushing out. For an example, when a person is listening, they're not talking. You see what I'm saying? They're listening. So they're able to receive. The moment a person starts thinking, they're pushing out. For an example, if you're having a conversation with someone, but you got a lot of things on your mind, you got to be like, hold on, what you say? Now, why did you have to do that? Because there was shit on your mind. How can something be on your mind? Because you're thinking about it. So when you're thinking, that's a masculine energy, because you can't receive the full understanding of the conversation because you had too much of the masculine energy you was doing at the time. You see what I'm saying? So you wasn't doing the receiving, you was pushing out just in a lighter form, a lighter body, a thought form, a concept. You get what I'm saying? So now, when we motherfucking talk about the brain ain't everything, that's strike one, how the mind and the brain work second hand. Now, check this out. This is how you experience things for yourself, right? Because you will get scientists telling you that everything comes from the brain and the mind and shit. Look, when you came into a solar system or came into your parents, a lot of times you might not came through the chakra that deals with the mind. You may have came through a chakra that deals with one of their lower natures or something like that, depending on what you resonated with. So in the being that we are in right now, y'all all came through the motherfucking one of the lower fucking plexuses, one of the fucking lower chakras. You see what I'm saying? Y'all ain't come from the mind. A lot of y'all motherfuckers here ain't come from the mind when y'all came through and got filtered under these groupings of lights, or whatever groupings of lights you came from, aka whatever space and travel constellation you came from. So that's what you need to understand also. So you need to sit back and experience this shit yourself. Me as Archangel Uriel, when I sit back and start to get sexual feelings and shit like that, I did not catch that with my brain first. I caught that experience like down here somewhere first. Somewhere in my root chakra first. You know what I'm saying? When I feel love and appreciation and shit like that, and I feel loving and shit, or I feel someone else's love coming, and I feel it. That shit come from somewhere here, around this chakra. That shit did not come from my mind. That shit came from here first. When I start to feel passion and intent, that shit come from like a root chakra, a gut chakra, like the gut chakra right there, or some shit that had me sensing something. When someone is saying something to me, or I see something and it make me feel like I need to verbally communicate something, and I start to fight with myself, or should I say something or not? That shit come from here. That shit don't come from my mind first. You see what I'm saying? Once shit hit my mind, that's after the fact. That be after the experience. When shit hit my mind and I start deciphering shit, so I have no choice but to think that conscious body I created that later. You see what I'm saying? And that came from some other shit. So if it's some beings on earth teaching you that part and that aspect is first in any kind of way, then this is a form of lostness. And this is a form of spiritual beings that was in shapes and forms that's trying to pertain rulership over a specific space and location. Whether it's in you or whether it's out, above, so below, motherfucking internally and outernally. See what I'm saying? But these motherfuckers is trying to stay in their motherfucking position. So you need to understand this. The moment y'all start to think that the brain is first, and the brain, whatever being is teaching y'all all these things about the brain, it's making you do things like this. It's making you utilize the mind and the brain for things it's not made to do. So you end up creating circumstances that's not genuinely for you. Here's what I mean by that, right? Now, like I said, you understand you need to tap into your light bodies that deal with the shit you resonate with first. Then you start to decipher, because the mind is only here to decipher what you are already experiencing. So you already have an experience, but you're going through a space and travel where your light bodies is catching this experience first. And people are disclosing that and going straight to the brain based upon what they have been told and what they have taught. What they teach. So for the most part, this is what you need to understand, right? Now, when we talk about the mind, this is after the fact. So anybody who's lost in the mind, it leads you into doing this. You end up thinking about the past or the future, and the mind is only a tool that's utilized for the present. So you're only supposed to use this tool for the present. You're not supposed to use that tool to utilize the past or to try to decipher the future. And that's what I mean by that. Anytime a person jump into their left brain, and a lot of those body pieces was made when y'all was in y'all animalistic natures. Y'all was in y'all animalistic unconscious bodies, being unaware of yourself and still trying to understand the external world. So that's where a lot of the brain mechanisms and shit like that got created. That's later, after the fact. Every kind of science you will hear about the mind or the brain is secondhand knowledge, hand-me-down knowledge. And just think about that. That's where all y'all language and laws and motherfucking logic and all that shit, y'all can only use that to decipher shit. So y'all only using some secondhand shit to decipher some shit that predates it. So y'all worship a group of spirits that showed you how to create that kind of spaceship, and then they didn't taught you that they was here before some shit that created them. See, I come from that fucking realm. See, these motherfuckers have you thinking, when you go through an experience, they have you thinking that, okay, the first thing you need to do is logically look at what's in front of you. So your higher self will be like, man, walk straight. These motherfuckers who's teaching you about the brain, I'm talking to the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional beings right now. These motherfuckers have you thinking like, no, you can't walk straight. This is a fucking freeway. And there's cars moving 100 miles per hour. So your higher self is like, nah, man, that ain't what it is. Go ahead and go straight. You down here, boom, you jump into your left brain logic and those rulers, right? And now your first feeling was to go straight. Now you said, fuck that first conscious body. Now you went with the second hand. Now you start to think that, okay, I gotta logically think what I need to do. So now, instead of you going straight, listening to what your spirit is trying to tell you, now you try to logically decipher the circumstance and situation. So now you're worshiping the second hand part of your creation now. Some other type shit now. The mind and brain type shit. Now it's gonna have you thinking that you need to do this, that, and the third and calculate and schedule, aka take a shortcut. Now it's gonna take you way more time to get from point A to point B than it would have if you just would have went straight. And a lot of times those shortcuts, you may not never get back on your trail. You may not never get back on path. You may not never reach the end of the rainbow. You may not never get that pot of gold. You may lose your direction. Listening to the second-hand mind. And you don't even know who run and control that. So y'all go run to ancient Sumerians and Inkies and all them motherfuckers and them worshiping the snake and all that shit. This to let you know that these motherfuckers was at a real premortal fucking time of their motherfucking conscious levels. And y'all can kick some shit about some pyramids or some shit like that, whatever like that. But what you need to understand that as we switch and transform and evolve, that means what was big became small. What was small became big. So you take that and you utilize your science for yourself. What you think is a motherfucking ant farm right now on the motherfucking ground could be you looking at a motherfucking pyramid 15,000 years from now in your shape and form as a spirit at that moment. So keep that in motherfucking mind. Now also, that's some after the fact knowledge. So these rulers they don't understand, right? They're in a realm where they got to the center. So they teach you hand-me-down knowledge. So they give you concepts like there's no such thing as a square circle. So these is the gods that y'all are ruled by. So y'all come up with logic like God cannot make a square circle. Y'all come up with logic like God cannot create a mountain that's heavier than him that he can lift. Like, y'all come up with this logic because this is who y'all ruled by. You know, as Archangel Uriel, I laugh at these beings because they secondhand. And y'all be catching secondhand knowledge. And this is a fucking square circle in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. And this is actually what you're supposed to do. And you got beings that's ruling y'all, that's teaching y'all that this don't exist, and this is what you're supposed to do. This is why y'all never reach in the center. Now look, when we talk about the right and the left side of the energies, now it don't matter what space and location you are in, you're always going to be relative to somebody. So you're always going to be relative to a space, or relative to something that's beside of you. So that space in general creates the energy vortex of opposition. So let's just say that opposition comes from the higher frequency vibrations of feminine and masculine. So if you got something on the if you got something on this end, it may play out a specific trait. If you got something on this end, it'll play out a specific trait. Based upon our stars in alignment right now, right, we can kind of calculate what's left to us and what's right to us. So when we talk about the brain, right, you got the left side of the brain and you got the right side of the brain. Now the right side is almost like a drain system going in and out. Now the right side is dealing with the feminine energy and it's dealing with your subconscious, your circumference, your circumstance, your circle, your 360, your round. Your roundness. So it's feminine. So that comes transparent. There's no shape and form to that. So when you see something that's just no shape and form, if you want to kind of picture it, it's like a circle. That's the best way we can picture it. Something round, womb, something to go into. So your right brain is the circle. Now when we look at the left brain, that's dealing with logic. But what's happening here, no, it's just the masculine energy. Since the masculine came second, it's what created logic. Because you're trying to logically understand what's going on where there's no understanding. You're trying to create a shape and form where there's no shape and form. You're trying to give a point of reference or a line or a sign, sigil, or a representation to something that has no line, sigil, or shape. So you're trying to draw something out of something. You see what I'm saying? So that's what makes the left brain masculine, and that's what makes it the square. Because the square is a 360 and the circle is a 360. But a square is you drawing out the 360. You drawing and making alignments. You are able to be the star. You are able to be the physical representation of a 360. So the left brain is represented of the square, and the right brain is represented of the circle. Now when you bring your emotions and feelings or your imagination and you bring that together with your logic and the way that you can think and the way that you can calculate, then you actually bring these two together and you know how to logically bring your imagination into the realm of reality that you are into. But here's where you guys are falling short at. You guys are ruled by a lot of beings that created the square, who know how to box themselves out, who know how to become complete individuals in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. So they want their own space. So they have to create a box for themselves. They have to single themselves out. They have to square off. They have to become a 7. They have to utilize the 1, 4, and the 7. The 7 is a solar system. So 7 planetary energies, alignments could work within it because they all are individual stars. So it takes 7 star players, you know what I'm saying, to keep that rotation in general as a whole, as the 7 whole. So that would be the fourth dimension. The 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension is what y'all see as the layer within space. Right? Where y'all see all the stars and shit reside. The stars and the planets and the emotions and the feelings and the rainbow waters and shit revolve and shit and things of that nature. So that's where you're going to actually see the representations of the lights glare there as the representations, and then it comes down. But what you need to understand is, for the most part, when we're talking about the one, it goes into a seed. And then that all those characteristics can be played out through one individual, and one individual can have all those characteristics. So when we're talking about to the highest degree and thinking about the mind and shit, you talking about some motherfucking type shit. You see what I'm saying? So the brain came motherfucking last. And when we're talking about the fucking solar system and shit, that's when beings come here. They came and motherfucking ruled y'all and got there first, and had to hit this again because I'm going back out for y'all. I was going back out for y'all. But they have learned how to square themselves off by becoming a solar system. So these are beings from the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, right? Because they realize that they're in that world, and they trying to go into a bigger womb, let's say like a bigger womb. That would be like a galaxy, but that's just a bigger version of what y'all would see like a moon, and then or sun or whatever. But I like to say it's a moon because it's receiving, because things is going in it and coming out of it. And then motherfucker, and then you get to the 9th dimension, and then motherfucker, that's the verse, and then that's when they can become whole there. But a lot of these beings ain't whole there. They didn't created spiritual bodies there that can be perceived as a reality or a firmament there, but still act out highly spiritual natures, but still not transform as fast. So a lot of these motherfuckers squared themselves off, right? Boom, became a 7. Boom, had 7-star players. Boom, in the 4th dimension. Boom, and then now that shit could be a seed into an individual. And a lot of y'all call that seed what's in the center of y'all motherfucking minds, and that's the seed of some secondhand motherfuckers that's ruling y'all. And I just proved to y'all how that's some secondhand shit. So that's telling you that these motherfuckers are the creation, not the creator. So it's all fine and dandy to utilize the shit that they created the same way you be utilizing other people's information, other people's consciousness, other people's ideas, other people's businesses, when I say other people's consciousness and ideas, when you get up and go to work, you're going and participating and going by somebody's idea. When you into a religion, you're going by participating to someone's idea. Now, me as Archangel Uriel, I just take that a step further. And I do that in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. So that motherfucking pieces and parts of y'all motherfucking brain is some shit that y'all as spirits was following, and y'all was institutionalized by that motherfucking spirit, and it taught you how to utilize that shit. So the same way you got motherfuckers who created cars here, and you go learn how to drive a car. Boom, yeah. As you being you're supposed to utilize everything for you. But the moment you start to worship these things and get lost and overindulge into these things, everything become a bad habit. Now, all my conscious people out there, when I say shit like that, indulging in shit, I know y'all might be on a 3rd dimensional level and this thinking's on that level. But nah, that shit goes beyond the 3rd dimension. I'm speaking about that on the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. God damn it, you can indulge too much into logic. Yes, it's that deep. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air. And when you indulge too much into logic, that's when they got your ass.